The Awakening. Grand Admiral Zelvrix stared at the quantum display with all four of his eyes, mandibles clicking in agitation. The pulsing signal shouldn't exist. It violated every principle of galactic communications protocols and seemed to originate from a sector of space long designated as uninhabitable. "Run the analysis again," he ordered, his chitinous armor plates shifting as he leaned forward. The Galactic Assembly's Central Intelligence Hub was the pinnacle of technological achievement, a vast complex housing representatives from the 23 spacefaring civilizations that comprised the known universe's governing body. Zelvrix, as the military commander of the Assembly's unified defense forces, rarely visited the civilian wing, but this anomaly demanded his personal attention. Senior Analyst Mirai, a Lumidian whose translucent skin glowed with bioluminescent patterns indicating stress, manipulated the holographic controls with her 6 slender fingers. "The signal persists, Admiral. Our quantum decryption systems cannot penetrate its encoding, but the transmission pattern matches nothing in our archives spanning 8 millennia." Zelvrix's exoskeleton tightened reflexively. Where exactly is it coming from? The dead zone in Sector 117 Gamma, the region affected by the cataclysm. The chamber fell silent. Even among the Assembly's highest officials, the cataclysm remained a subject approached with caution, a catastrophic event from 3,000 years ago that had rendered an entire galactic arm uninhabitable. Official records claimed it was a natural phenomenon, a chain reaction of stellar collapses. But there were whispers. Forbidden knowledge passed through generations of the highest echelons of power. "Summon the Elder Council," Zelvrix said finally. Immediately. The Elder Council chamber was ancient, carved from living crystal that pulsed with the collective consciousness of the Assembly's founding species. 7 beings, each representing one of the original civilizations that had formed the Galactic Assembly millennia ago, sat in a circle, their forms as diverse as the stars themselves. High Elder Oromis, a gaseous entity contained within an advanced environmental field, spoke first, his words materializing as glowing script in the universal translator. "You have disturbed our meditation, Admiral. This had better warrant such intrusion." Zelvrix projected the quantum signal data into the center of the chamber. "We've detected an anomalous transmission from the dead zone. Its complexity suggests artificial origin, yet it employs quantum principles beyond our understanding." Elder Testley, whose crystalline body refracted light in hypnotic patterns, leaned forward. "Impossible. Nothing survives in the dead zone. The radiation levels alone would destroy any known form of technology. Unless." Elder Kala, the oldest among them, spoke slowly, her reptilian features barely visible beneath layers of ceremonial robes. "It originates from them." The chamber's temperature seemed to drop. Zelvrix felt his secondary heart begin to beat rapidly. "Elder Kala, you cannot mean." "The humans," she said, the word itself seeming to carry weight in the ancient chamber. Elder Oromis's containment field fluctuated violently. "We do not speak of myths and legends in this chamber. Humans are a cautionary tale, nothing more. A theoretical species whose technological advancement outpaced their wisdom." "Then explain the signal," challenged Kala. "Explain why it uses quantum entanglement principles that our own scientists have deemed theoretically impossible." Zelvrix fought to maintain his composure. "Elders, I have studied every fragment of classified military history. The records suggest humans were real, once, but they destroyed themselves in the cataclysm. Nothing could have survived." Perhaps Elder Testley's crystalline form pulsed with unusual patterns. "Not all records tell the complete truth." The research vessel Stellar Inquiry approached the edge of the dead zone cautiously, its advanced shielding systems operating at maximum capacity. Captain Lyra Tverin, a Selenian whose silvery skin and enhanced sensory capabilities made her ideally suited for dangerous exploratory missions, monitored the radiation readings with growing unease. "Anything yet, Science Officer?" she asked. Nezdak, a Volucrian with an enhanced cerebral cortex housed in a methane-breathing exosuit, Analyze the incoming data streams. The signal is stronger here, Captain. But these readings make no sense. The radiation levels should be lethal, yet our sensors detect pockets of normalcy, as if something is actively neutralizing the dead zone's effects. That's impossible, said Security Chief Draz, the massive Chronaxians, armored hide tensing. Nothing can neutralize quantum radiation. Evidently, Lyra mused, something can. The stellar inquiry pushed deeper into the dead zone, following the mysterious signal to its source. What they found defied comprehension. A structure, if it could be called that, hung in space, neither solid nor liquid nor gas, but something that seemed to exist between states of matter. It pulsed with energy that their sensors couldn't classify, stretching perhaps a kilometer in diameter. "Is it a ship?" whispered Lyra. "I don't believe so, Captain," Nezdak replied, fascination overcoming fear. "It appears to be some form of automated defense system, or perhaps a beacon." "A beacon for what?" Draz demanded. As if in answer, the structure suddenly expanded, geometric patterns of light cascading across its surface. A beam of energy, not destructive, but probing, swept over the stellar inquiry. "We're being scanned," Nezdak exclaimed. At a quantum level, the ship's communication system activated on its own, displaying a message in a language none of them recognized. Yet somehow, impossibly, they understood its meaning. Verification complete. Human genetiki markiuras DETCTE. Awakening protocols INITI. Human genetic markers. Lyra's voice was barely audible. "That's not possible." "We're not." "Captain," Nezdak interrupted, his voice trembling. "I'm detecting energy signatures throughout the dead zone. Thousands of them, all activating simultaneously." The structure before them began to collapse inward, its impossible geometry folding into itself until it vanished completely. In its place, a tear in space-time opened, a dimensional rift unlike anything recorded in galactic history, and through it came vessels, hundreds of them, emerging from what appeared to be a pocket dimension. Ships of a design so advanced they seemed almost organic, their hulls shimmering with a metallic substance that bent light around them. "By the first stars," whispered Draz. "They're real. The humans are real." In the Galactic Assembly's Central Command, chaos erupted as sensors across 23 systems simultaneously detected the emergence of an unknown fleet. Quantum communications networks flooded with reports of impossible energy readings and dimensional anomalies throughout the dead zone. Admiral Selvrik stood frozen before the strategic display, watching as thousands of unidentified vessels materialized from nowhere. "Sir," his executive officer's voice cracked, "they're everywhere. Not just in the dead zone. We're detecting their ships near every major system in the assembly. They've been waiting, watching." "Impossible," Selvrix whispered. "Our detection systems would have." "Admiral," a communications officer interrupted. "We're receiving a transmission. It's being broadcast on all frequencies in all languages simultaneously." A figure appeared on the central display, bipedal, with a symmetrical face and exposed skin, wearing what appeared to be a uniform of some kind. A human. "People of the Galactic Assembly," the being spoke, its voice conveying a calm authority that seemed to fill the command center. "I am Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Fleet. For 3,000 years, we have observed your civilizations from dimensional stasis, waiting for the right moment to emerge." Zelvrix felt his exoskeleton go cold. "The myths you've told yourselves about our destruction were partially true. Humanity faced extinction, but not from our own hand. We were attacked by something from beyond the galaxy, a threat that still approaches, one that will consume all sentient life if left unchallenged." The human admiral's expression grew solemn. "We retreat to the shadows, developing technologies beyond what any civilization could achieve alone. Now the time has come to stand together. The quantum darkness approaches once more, and this time It comes for all of us." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Zelvrix stared at the empty display, ancient legends suddenly becoming a terrifying reality before his eyes. "Sir," his executive officer whispered, "what are your orders?" Zelvrix had no answer. For the first time in his military career, he faced an enemy he had believed was merely a myth. Not the humans, but the nameless horror they claimed was approaching. A horror that had driven the most advanced species in galactic history into hiding for 3 millennia. And now they had returned, their impossible fleet poised throughout assembly space, offering an alliance against cosmic extinction. The Reckoning. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Assembly had never been so crowded. Representatives from all 23 member species gathered in a state of barely controlled panic as the human delegation prepared to address them. Security forces lined the walls, though Admiral Zelvrix knew they would be useless if the humans harbored hostile intent. The technological gap was too vast. The human delegation consisted of 5 individuals, led by Admiral Helena Chen. Unlike the others who wore sleek uniforms that seemed to shift color depending on the angle of observation, she wore a simple black outfit adorned only with small metallic insignia. What struck Zelvrix most was how unassuming they appeared. These beings of legend, these supposed technological marvels, looked physically vulnerable compared to many assembly species. High Chancellor Vorak, the elected leader of the assembly and a member of the silicon-based Droxy, activated the formal proceedings. His crystalline voice resonator hummed with tension. "This emergency session is convened to address the unexpected appearance of the human fleet throughout assembly space, and to hear their claims regarding an imminent threat to our collective existence." Admiral Chen stepped forward, her movements fluid and precise. "Thank you, Chancellor. I understand the shock our emergence has caused. For many of you, humans have been nothing but myth or cautionary tale for generations. Today, I will tell you our true history and why we have chosen this moment to reveal ourselves." The chamber's holographic systems activated, displaying 3-dimensional images of ancient Earth and early human space exploration. 3,000 years ago, humanity was still young among the stars. We had colonized our home system and begun reaching out to nearby stars when we detected something approaching the galactic rim, something that defied conventional physics. The hologram shifted to show a visualization of what appeared to be a moving void, a darkness that consumed light and matter alike. We called it the quantum darkness, an entity or force that exists primarily in higher dimensions but can interface with our reality. It doesn't just destroy planets or stars. It unravels the quantum foundations of space-time itself. When it approached our colonies, we realized conventional weapons were useless. Chancellor Vorak interrupted. "If this threat was so devastating, why have our astronomical surveys never detected evidence of it?" Admiral Chen's expression remained calm. "Because we contained it, Chancellor, at tremendous cost." The hologram displayed scenes of devastating battles, human vessels sacrificing themselves to create some kind of energy barrier around the encroaching darkness. We lost 90% of our fleet and half our population containing the first incursion. Our scientists realized the darkness operates on a cyclic pattern, retreating to higher dimensions before returning. They calculated we had approximately 3,000 years before it would return, stronger and better adapted to our defensive measures. Elder Kala, who had insisted on attending despite her advanced age, spoke up. "And the cataclysm, the dead zone, was that your doing?" "A necessary deception," Chen acknowledged. "We needed time and resources undisturbed by interference. The dead zone is actually the center of our research and development efforts. The radiation readings that kept others away were artificially generated." Murmurs of shock rippled through the chamber. "You lied to us for millennia," accused a Meridian representative, his feathered crest flaring in agitation. "We observed," Chen corrected. "We studied your civilizations as they developed, ensuring that when the time came, we could communicate effectively. We maintained quantum observation posts throughout assembly space, gathering data while remaining dimensionally phased just slightly outside normal spacetime. Zelvrix's tactical mind finally grasped the implications. That's why our sensors never detected you. You weren't hiding in the dead zone. You were hiding in a different dimensional state. Precisely, Admiral. Chen nodded. Dimensional stasis technology allowed us to continue our civilization's development at an accelerated rate while remaining undetectable. We've experienced nearly 10,000 years of technological advancement during your 3,000. The revelation sent waves of unease through the chamber. Such technology was beyond anything the Assembly had even theorized. And now you claim this quantum darkness returns, Chancellor Vorak stated flatly, conveniently justifying your sudden appearance throughout our territory with a fleet that could obviously overwhelm our defenses if desired. Admiral Chen's expression hardened slightly. If conquest were our goal, Chancellor, this conversation would not be taking place. We have emerged because our long-range quantum sensors have detected the darkness approaching once more. Alone, even humanity cannot stop it this time. Together, combining our technological understanding with the unique biological and cognitive advantages of your 23 species, we believe we can create a permanent solution. She gestured, and a hologram changed to display technical schematics too complex for most present to comprehend. These are preliminary designs for what we call the quantum lattice, a dimensional barrier that would prevent the darkness from entering our region of space permanently. But its construction requires resources and expertise beyond even what humanity has developed. Dr. Silari, the Assembly's chief scientist, had been studying the schematics with increasing astonishment. The Thalassian's compound eyes widened as she manipulated segments of the projection. This would require harnessing the energy output of at least a dozen stars simultaneously, she breathed. The computational requirements alone would exceed the combined processing power of every system in assembly space. Yes, Chen agreed, which is why we need a true alliance. Humanity brings advanced dimensional physics and quantum engineering. The assembly brings biological diversity, raw resources, and perspective we lack. Chancellor Vorak's crystalline structure pulsed with skepticism. And we should trust you based on what? A threat we cannot verify exists. Historical records of your species are fragmentary at best, and what little remains suggests your kind was dangerously unpredictable. A different human stepped forward, older than Chen, with white hair and deeply lined features. Chancellor, I am Dr. Marcus Rivera, Chief Historian of Earth. Those records you reference were deliberately altered in the aftermath of our retreat from normal space. We anticipated that knowledge of dimensional stasis technology in its early stages might be dangerous in undeveloped hands. He projected a new series of images, historical records far more detailed than anything in assembly archives. Humanity's early conflicts were real. We struggled with our own nature, as all sentient species do. But we achieved unity long before the first darkness incursion. Our greatest weakness became our strength. Our biological and ideological diversity generated problem-solving approaches no single culture could have developed alone. Zelvrix studied the human delegation carefully. Their technology might be superior, but they had revealed themselves for a reason. If this threat was real, they genuinely needed the Assembly's cooperation. How long? He asked. How long until this quantum darkness arrives? Based on current projections, 17 months, Chen answered. Barely enough time to construct and deploy the lattice if we begin immediately. The chamber erupted in voices. 17 months to prepare for an existential threat most had believed was merely legend moments ago. Elder Kala raised a gnarled hand, silencing the chaos. For a moment, the ancient reptilians seemed to look through the human delegation rather than at them. I have lived long enough to remember when the stories of humans were not yet myth, she said, her voice carrying despite its weakness. We feared you then, not for what you had done, but for what you might become. It seems our fears were both justified and misplaced. She turned to address the full chamber. I propose an emergency doctrine. Full cooperation with the human initiative, with appropriate oversight from assembly representatives. If they wished us harm, we would already be experiencing it. Chancellor Voruk's crystalline resonators hummed in frustration. And if this is an elaborate deception, if there is no quantum darkness? Admiral Chen stepped forward once more. In 7 days, the darkness will breach dimensional barriers briefly near the Helios cluster. It will be visible for approximately 23 minutes before retreating. Send your most advanced sensors. Verify our claims. Dr. Siluri's compound eyes blinked rapidly in what Selvrics recognized as extreme interest. You can predict its manifestations with such precision. We've been tracking its dimensional signatures for 3,000 years, Chen replied. This will be its final scout phase before full incursion. A week later, when assembly sensors recorded the brief appearance of something that defied all known physics near the Helios cluster, a moving void that consumed light and matter alike before disappearing. The Galactic Assembly formally voted to accept humanity's offer of alliance. The greatest engineering project in the history of sentient life began. Species that had never collaborated now worked side by side with humans who had emerged from myth into reality. The quantum lattice took shape, a magnificent structure existing simultaneously in multiple dimensions, powered by the harnessed energy of 13 stars. Admiral Selvrics found himself working closely with Admiral Chen, two military minds from vastly different cultures finding common ground in the face of extinction. Why didn't you simply remain hidden? He asked her one day as they reviewed defensive projections. Let the darkness consume us, then emerge to reclaim the galaxy afterward. Chen looked genuinely shocked, because that would be unconscionable. All life deserves the chance to determine its own future. The assembly species may be younger than humanity in some ways, but each of you possesses unique perspectives we lack. Together, we're stronger than the sum of our parts. When the quantum darkness finally arrived in full force 16 months later, it encountered not divided civilizations, but a united front of 24 species, their combined ingenuity having created a defense beyond what any single culture could have achieved alone. The lattice activated, its multidimensional matrix establishing permanent boundaries between normal space and the higher dimensions where the darkness dwelled. The battle tested the alliance to its limits, with losses on all sides, but when it ended, a new era of galactic history had begun. Humanity emerged fully from the shadows, their advanced technologies gradually shared with their new allies. The Dead Zone, revealed to be a thriving network of human worlds, opened its borders. The myths became partners, teachers, friends, and in the Grand Assembly Chamber, a new emblem was raised alongside the 23 that had hung there for millennia. The double helix symbol of Earth, no longer legend but living reality. Humanity taking its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as saviors who had chosen cooperation over dominance. The quantum legacy had begun.